Most people completely misunderstand how easy it is to start a company in Africa's fast-growing markets. And because of that misunderstanding, they miss opportunities that quietly turn small ideas into real, profitable businesses. But if you're watching this, there's a good chance you're not here by accident. You're here because you've heard something about Uganda's growing economy. Or maybe you're exploring where to legally register a business that can operate in East Africa without unnecessary complexity. And here's the surprising truth that almost nobody talks about. Uganda is not just a developing market. It's a structured, formalizing economy where company registration is actually more accessible than many assume, especially for foreign entrepreneurs, digital business owners, and investors looking for entry points into Africa. Now imagine someone like Michael, a small business owner from Texas. Michael runs an online logistics consulting service, and he's been getting inquiries from clients in East Africa. At first, he treats it casually. But then one of his clients says something that changes everything. They tell him that having a locally registered company in Uganda would instantly improve trust, make payments easier, and unlock partnerships he can't access from abroad. That's where everything shifts. Michael realizes he's not just running a remote service anymore. He's stepping into international business. But there's one problem. He has no idea how company registration in Uganda actually works. And this is where most people stop. They assume it's complicated, full of bureaucracy, or only for locals. But that assumption is exactly what keeps them stuck. Because once you understand the structure, the process becomes surprisingly logical. And in this video, we're going to walk through that entire journey step by step, in a way that feels simple, grounded, and practical. But here's where things get interesting. Before we even talk about forms or registration steps, you need to understand what an LLC in Uganda actually means in practice. In Uganda, the most common business structure similar to an LLC is a private limited company. It is governed by the Companies Act 2012 and regulated by the Uganda Registration Services Bureau, commonly known as URSB-BT. This structure is designed to separate personal liability from business operations, meaning the company itself is a separate legal entity. That sounds technical, but in real terms it means something simple. If the company faces debts or legal obligations, your personal assets are generally protected, as long as you operate within the law. Now, back to Michael. He's excited but also confused. He starts researching online, and quickly runs into conflicting information. One website says he needs a local partner. Another says he can register remotely. A third one talks about tax numbers, directors, and legal addresses. And suddenly, the opportunity that felt exciting now feels overwhelming. This is the moment where most entrepreneurs lose momentum. But Michael decides to dig deeper, and that's where he discovers something important. Uganda's business registration system is actually designed to be straightforward if you follow the correct sequence. And that sequence matters more than anything else. So let's break it down in a way that makes sense from the ground up. The first step in registering a company in Uganda is choosing your business name. This sounds simple, but it is one of the most important stages. You are required to submit a name reservation request to URSB. The goal is to ensure your chosen company name is unique and not already registered by someone else. Michael decides on a name: Nilebridge Consulting Limited. But here's the problem. His first choice is already taken. And this is where many people get discouraged. They think it's a bad sign or a delay. But in reality, it's completely normal. Most entrepreneurs go through 2 or 3 name options before getting approval. So Michael adjusts. He adds a slight variation, submits again, and waits for approval. And here's the first mini payoff. Within a short time, his new name is approved. That moment matters more than it seems, because it transforms his idea from just a concept into something legally recognizable. But now comes the next stage, and this is where things start to feel more real. Company incorporation documents. This is where you define the structure of your business. You'll typically need details like directors, shareholders, registered address, and the company's objectives. But here's where things get interesting again. Many first-time founders assume this is just paperwork. But in reality, this step defines how your business will operate for years to come. For example, Sarah, another entrepreneur from California, made a critical mistake here. She listed herself as the only director without understanding local banking requirements. Later, when she tried to open a corporate account, she discovered that some banks prefer at least 2 directors for smoother verification. That small detail delayed her operations by weeks. And this is exactly the kind of mistake that doesn't get talked about enough. So Michael takes his time. He defines his company structure carefully. He decides to include a second director, someone he trusts, to make future banking and compliance easier. And now we reach a key insight. In Uganda, once your name is approved, you prepare incorporation forms including the memorandum and articles of association. These documents describe what your company does, how it operates, and how decisions are made internally. Now, this might sound intimidating, but think of it as your company's rulebook. It doesn't need to be overly complex. It just needs to be accurate. But here's the twist most people miss. This stage is not just about legal compliance. It is also about clarity. Because when you define your business properly on paper, you start thinking more strategically in reality. Michael begins to see his consulting business differently. He is no longer just offering services. He is building a structured company that can scale. And that mindset shift changes everything. Now let's move into the next step, which is submission to RSB for incorporation. Once all documents are prepared, they are submitted to the Uganda Registration Services Bureau for review. If everything is in order, the company is officially registered, and you receive a certificate of incorporation. This certificate is the official proof that your company exists as a legal entity in Uganda. And when Michael receives his certificate, something clicks in his mind. This is no longer an idea. It's real. But here's where things can go wrong if you stop here. Because incorporation is only one part of the system. The next critical stage is taxation registration. In Uganda, every registered company must obtain a tax identification number, commonly known as a TIN, from the Uganda Revenue Authority. And this is where many new business owners underestimate complexity. A company might be legally registered, but without a TIN, it cannot properly invoice clients, open certain bank accounts, or operate fully within the tax system. So Michael applies for his TIN next. And this step introduces another layer of structure. Tax classification, potential VAT registration depending on revenue, and compliance obligations depending on business activity. But instead of seeing this as a burden, Michael starts to understand something deeper. Tax registration is not just about obligations. It is about legitimacy. And legitimacy opens doors. Now let's pause for a moment because this is a turning point in the journey. Michael is no longer confused. He is building a system. But there's still one more challenge ahead that most people don't anticipate. Opening a business bank account. This step often requires your incorporation certificate, TIN, identification documents, and sometimes proof of address or business activity. And here's where many foreign entrepreneurs hit friction. Not because it is impossible, but because banks require consistency across documents. If anything is mismatched, even slightly, delays can happen. Emily, another entrepreneur from New York, experienced this firsthand. Her company name was spelled slightly differently across 2 documents. That small inconsistency triggered additional verification, slowing her account opening by several weeks. So Michael double-checks everything. Every spelling. Every detail. Every document, alignment. And this is where preparation pays off. Because when he submits his banking application, everything aligns smoothly. And once his account is opened, something powerful happens. He now has a fully operational business infrastructure in Uganda. But here's the insight that ties everything together. Registering an LLC in Uganda is not just a legal process. It is a sequence of alignment steps. Name reservation. Incorporation. Tax registration. Banking setup. Each step builds on the previous one. And when done correctly, it creates a legitimate, scalable business foundation in one of East Africa's most active emerging markets. Now let's zoom out. Why does this matter so much? Because Uganda sits in a strategically important region with access to East African trade networks, growing digital adoption, and increasing foreign investment interests. For entrepreneurs, this means opportunity is not theoretical. It is practical. But only if the structure is done correctly. And here's the final curiosity loop. What most people don't realize is that registering a company is only the beginning. The real advantage comes from how you position that company after registration, how you structure operations, and how you align it with regional opportunities. That's where real growth happens. And in the next part of this series, we would explore exactly how foreign founders can operate and scale once their company is registered in East Africa, including banking strategies, compliance optimization, and cross-border expansion techniques. But before that, let's bring everything together. Michael started with confusion and uncertainty. He thought registering a company abroad would be overwhelming. But step by step, he learned that the process is structured, logical, and achievable. And more importantly, he realized something about himself. He is capable of operating globally, not just locally. That identity shift is often more valuable than the company registration itself. Because once you understand how to build legally in one country, you can replicate that knowledge anywhere. And that is where true entrepreneurial freedom begins. If you found this guide helpful, and want more videos that break down complex global business opportunities like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel.